So hello everybody, we shall be discussing the rest part of the parliament. We are going a long way for parliament, and we have taken a lot of classes also in case of parliament. So as I told you, we shall first discuss parliamentary committees, then also certain aspects of budget and other grants of parliament. So parliamentary committees, as you can see on the screen, they are a device of parliamentary control. First of all, you have to remember that they are a device of parliamentary control. The importance and significance of parliamentary committees is much more, because parliament lacks effective time and space for discussing all the things in detail and exerting control over the executive. So parliamentary committees help parliament in exerting and in exercising control over the executive in various matters, especially in financial and other matters. So importance of parliamentary committees are many, and they are set up to deal with specific matters as the parliament lacks time and expertise to deal with such matters. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand this concept, the importance of parliamentary committees or committees of parliament in a parliamentary democracy is second to none. They help help the parliament in exercising control. So that therefore they contribute to the control mechanism of the parliament, and also they add wide views and share responsibilities also. So Parliament deliberates on matters that are complex and therefore needs technical expertise to understand such matters better. Committees help with this by providing a forum where members can engage with domain experts and government officials during the course of their study. For example, Committee on Health and Family Welfare studied the Surrogacy Bill 2016, which prohibits commercial surrogacy but allows altruistic surrogacy. As MPs come from varying background, they may not have had the expertise to understand the details around surrogacy, and such as fertility issues, abortion, regulation of surrogacy clinics, among others. The committee is called upon a range of stakeholders, including National Commission for Women, doctors, government officials, to better their understanding of issues. Okay, so committees help in providing a forum for engaging a forum for giving technical and giving suitable giving timely and complex timely and technical, you can write technical suggestions. They also help in building consensus, across political parties. Okay, so committees have closed door meetings and which allows them to freely question and discuss issues and arrive at a consensus. And the recommendations of the committee are not binding in nature. They are a major instrument of parliamentary control. Over the executive. Major instrument of parliamentary control over the executive. So there are the importance, and parliamentary committees are of two types. One is ad hoc committee and another is standing committee. All the committees constitute of elected members or nominated members by the presiding officers. Committees work under the direction of the speaker or the chairman of the house. They present their report to the houses, but the recommendations of the committees are not binding in nature. Classification of the committees. On the basis of their expertise, they are divided into two types: ad hoc committees and there are also, these are temporary committees and cease to exist after the completion of the given task. So as I was telling you, committee on health and that was there. So committee on health that I was talking about. Okay. So there are several committees were established, and on the basis of that, for example, the health and sanitation committee that examined the surrogacy bills, committee on health. So there are ad hoc committees and they're set up for a particular period of time, particular purpose, and they are winded off after they complete the task. So there are also standing committees, and standing committees are permanent in nature, and on the basis of their functions they may be classified into following types. First is departmental standing committee. There are 24 departmental standing committees in India, and these departmental committees were set up in 1993 first. The departmental standing committees were set up in 1993. They are emerged because of because of growing complexity of governance. And they consist of 21 members. They consist of 31 members. Departmental 13 committees, 21 members, and they are 21 from Lok Sabha and 10 from Rajya Sabha. Departmental, and they are headed by the chairperson. They primarily look at bills, budget and subject specific issues for examinations. Okay. Budget measures examines budgets, bills, budgets, and subject specific issues. Okay, they are there. Then there are certain also there are financial committees called. There are three major financial committees of Parliament: Public Account Committee, Estimate Committee, and Committee on Public Undertakings. There are administrative committees or Committee on Day-to-Day Business, Business Advisory Committee, Committee on Private Members Bill, Committee on Absence of Members, Committee on Office of Profit Rules Committee. So you can have a practice on that. Committee on Scrutiny and Control, that is on government assurances, on Committee on Subordinate Legislation, Committee on Paper laid on the table, Committee on Welfare of SC and ST, Committee on Empowerment of Women. So you can notice that Committee on Scrutiny and Control are so many committees are there. Then Committee on Petitions, Committee on Privileges, Ethics Committee, there Committee on Inquiry. Then Committee for Facilities and Privileges of Members, General Purpose Committee, House Committee, Library Committee, Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members. There is General Purpose Committee, GPC, and House Committee, Library Committee, Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members. So we shall discuss some important committees. Public Account Committee, it can be traced back to Government of India Act 1990 and was established in 1924. It consists of 22 and 7 members, 22 members in total, 15 members from Lok Sabha and 7 members from Rajya Sabha. The members are elected on the basis of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Restriction says that ministers cannot be the main member of this committee. Chairman appointed by the Speaker, usually the leader of Lok Sabha. Opposition in Lok Sabha in 1967. Each committee has a term of 1 year and that is renewable. The major function of the Public Account Committee is to ensure the financial accounts of the Government of India. It ensures that the actual expenditure matches the expenditure sanctioned by the Parliament. It examines the report of the Controller and Auditor General of India. So, Public Account Committee is a major financial committee that exerts financial control over the executive. Though post-mortem in nature, but the committee has a tremendous role to play in the success of parliamentary control. Okay, there are also study examinations. So there are strengthening committees and there are also so this is the role. Then estimate committee exclusively belongs to Lok Sabha, constituted in 1951 on the recommendation of John Mathai committee. Strength is 30 exclusively from Lok Sabha. There is no estimate committee in Rajya Sabha. Election members on the proportional representation basis. Restriction is the same. Chairman is appointed by the speaker from ruling party. Term is 1 year. Function examines the budgetary estimates and suggests economies to be brought in them. Then Committee on Public Undertakings, set up in 1964 on the recommendation, as you can see on the screen. There is Krishna Menon Committee, and the strength of the committee is 22, 15 from Lok Sabha, 7 from Rajya Sabha. By members on the basis of proportional representation. Restriction or ministers are not members. Chairman of the committee is appointed by the Speaker from Lok Sabha. Term is 1 year and examines the budgetary estimates and suggests economies to be brought in, then suggests alternative policies to bring about efficacy and economy in the administrations. It is not the role, right? Rather, just a minute. Okay, so committee, these are the function of estimate committee, I think. It is the function of estimate committee, but function of public undertakings, committee on public undertakings, are that it examines the report of the accounts of the public sector companies, and also examines the report of the CAG on public undertakings. Then there departmental standing committee, we have already discussed it, and we have discussed it already. What does it do? It examines the demands of the grants, budget, bills, and any subject specific issues. Their long role to play in the parliament. Okay, so we have already discussed. Other committees are given. There are Business Advisory Committee, separate committee. It is a separate committee, means Lok Sabha has one committee and Rajya Sabha has one committee. Its regulation and allocation of timetable. The speaker is the ex officio chairperson of the committee. Committee on Private Members Bills, it is only belongs to Lok Sabha. Such functions are performed by Business Advisory Committee in the Rajya Sabha. Admin, there is no bill, there is no committee on private members bill, similar committee in the things. Well, so this is the committee, private members commission. There is no such committee in Rajya Sabha on this committee. Deputy Speaker is the associate chairperson of the committee. So take a brief idea about each committee. Committee is an absence of members, only belongs to Lok Sabha, and 15 members. Such proposal comes up by the House itself. Consider all application of leave of members appointed by Speaker. The Rules Committee is a separate committee. It has 15 members in Lok Sabha and 16 members in Rajya Sabha. It considers all procedural rules of the House, and Speaker and Chairman are associate chairpersons. Committee on Officer Profit 10, Joint Committee 10 plus 5. Decides Officer Profit to be barred from being impeached and appointed by Speaker. Committee on Scrutiny, there is separate committee, 15 member and 19 member, examines the status of assurances and promises made by the ministers in the parliament. And they are appointed by the Speaker or the chairperson of the House. Committee on Subordinate Legislation is a separate committee. It is having 15 members in Lok Sabha, 15 members in Rajya Sabha. It examines the power of legislation and making rules to the executive by the parliament are being properly carried out. Hence it is called subordinate legislation. Committee on SC and ST is a joint committee of 30 members, 20 plus 10. Examines the report of National Commission for SC and National Commission on ST and other matters. Committees on Inquiry is a separate committee, and you can see the number strength. Committee on Privileges, that is 15 and 10 separate committee. It deals with the breach of privileges of the members. Committee on Inquiry on Petition, separate committee, 15 members and 10 members. Examines on petition bills on important matters. Committee on Privileges examines the cases of breach of privileges. General Purpose Committee chaired by the chairman and the Speaker also. Speaker is the Deputy Chairperson, Chairperson of Departmental Committees, leaders of regulated IAS members, suggest on matters concerning affairs of the House. So these are the committee system we have discussed. Now we shall come to the budget. Then we shall discuss the multifunctional role of the parliament. So with regards to budget in parliament, first of all we have to remember that the word budget is not mentioned. In the Constitution, it is mentioned as annual financial statement annual financial statement of receipts and expenditure. Under Article 112, the budget for India on April 7, 1960, that is in British Parliament. Then after independence, independent budget. By the past finance minister, R.K. Sanamugam Chetty. Okay. Budget, introduction of the budget. Introduction is introduced. Budget is usually introduced on in the month of February, and it's mostly passed before April because the financial year begins from 1st April to 31st March. So that is contents of budget. We shall discuss contents of budget. First of all, estimates of revenue and expenditures. Estimates of revenue and capital receipts. Wage and means raise the revenue, estimates of expenditure for the upcoming financial year, details of actual receipts and expenditures, actuals of receipts and expenditure of the closing year, number 5, economic and so these are the 5 major contents of the budget. In this in a full budget you will find all these phenomena, all these features are there in the budget. Estimates of revenue and received capital, receipts, wage and means to raise revenue, estimates of expenditure for the upcoming year, details of actual receipt and expenditure of closing year, economic and financial policy of the coming year. Okay, so next is that history of budget in India. We'll see that in budget was generally one budget in before 1924, but in 1921 Sir William Ackworth Committee recommended for separation of railway budget, the intent or the purpose was to introduce flexibility in railway finance and to enable the railways to give their profits of their own development after paying a fixed annual contribution to the general revenues. So railway could develop themselves by keeping their profit, a percentage of profit for themselves, and to secure stability of the general revenues by providing an assured annual contribution from railways. So there are many reasons why Ackworth recommended, and in 1924, the first separate railway budget was introduced. This tradition continued until the recent times, and in 2014, Vivek Devrai Committee recommended for general budget. So in financial year 2017 and 18, the first merged budget Hence, there is only one budget for the Government of India, that is Union Budget. Okay. So this is the brief history, then summary, constitutional provisions of the budget. First of all, President shall ensure the annual financial statement of receipts and expenditure in the Parliament. No demand for grant. Prior approval of the President. Appropriation. Parliament cannot The Constitution has also defined the relative roles of position of both the houses of Parliament with respect to enactment of the budget. A money bill or finance bill dealing with taxation cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha has no power to vote on the demand for grants, and the Rajya Sabha should return the money bills or the finance bills to the Lok Sabha within Lok Sabha within 14 days. The Lok Sabha can either accept or reject the recommendation of the Rajya Sabha in that budget. The estimates of expenditure embodied in the budget shall show separately the expenditures charged on the Consolidated Fund of India, These are the constitutional provisions of the budget. Okay. And another thing, charged expenditures or expenditures charged on the are not subject to so you can see these are the constitutional provisions for the passage of budget, and budget is there, and then you can charge expenditures like the emolument allowances of the president and other expenditures, salaries and allowances of the chairperson of Rajya Sabha, deputy chairperson of Rajya Sabha, speaker of Lok Sabha and deputy speaker of Lok Sabha, salaries, allowances and pension of the judges of Supreme Court, and pensions of the High Court judges, and salary allowances, pension of Comptroller Auditor General, salary allowances, pension of UPSC members and chairpersons, administrative expenses of Supreme Court and Comptroller General of India and the Union Public Service Commissions. The date charges of the Government of India, any sum declared as charged expenditures will be there. And the rest is expenditure made from the Consolidated Fund of India, stages and budget. So these are the stages of budget, and we shall discuss the presentation of budget. First of all, conventionally or traditionally, the budget was introduced on the last working day of February every year. But now, since 2017, the budget is introduced on 1st February. The budget can also be presented to the House in two or more parts, but there will be no discussion on the bill on the day of which it is presented to the House. The Finance Minister presents the budget. With his budget speech, at the end of the speech, the budget is introduced led before Rajya Sabha, which can only discuss and has no power to vote on the demands for grants. The budget documents presented in the Parliament comprise of the following: budget speech, annual financial statement, demand for grants, appropriation bill, finance bill, statements mandated under FRB, macroeconomic framework statement, fiscal policy strategy statement, medium time fiscal policy statement, expenditure budget, receipt budget, expenditure profile, budget at a glance outcome. So there are several stages of presentation also in this way. The economic survey also used to present it to the Parliament along with the budget. Now it is presented one day or few days before the presentation of the budget. The report is prepared by the Finance Ministry and indicates the status of the national economy. In general discussion, you can say that the budget general discussion begins a few days after its presentation. It takes place in both the houses simultaneously and lasts usually for 3 to 4 days. Lok Sabha can discuss the budget as a whole or any question of thereof. No court information motion can be moved or can be budgeted to submitted to the vote of the House. The Finance Minister has a general right of reply at the end of the discussion. Then your general discussion is over. Then scrutiny by departmental committees. So there are the committee system, as I told you, they came into existence in 1993 and they're specially attached to ministry. There are 24 departmental committees at present. After the general discussion on the budget is over, houses are adjourned for about 3 to 4 weeks, and during this gap period 24 departmental committees of Parliament examine and discuss it in detail for demand for grants of the concerned members and prepare report on them. These reports are submitted to both the houses of Parliament for its consideration. The standing committee system, which started in 1993 and now expanded into 2004, makes parliamentary financial control and ministry much more detailed, close, in depth, and quite comprehensive. So scrutiny by departmental committees, the third stage. Then voting on demands for grants. So this is a crucial stage of the budget, and these demands are moved, are passed by or approved by the Lok Sabha only, and it becomes a grant afterward. Rajya Sabha does not have the authority to vote on the demand or discuss the demand for grants. It doesn't have the authority to go there. So voting on demands for grants are exclusive right of the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha has no power for voting on the demand for grants. Another thing, only the expenditures made from the Consolidated Fund of India, the expenditures showing that will be voted, not the expenditures that are charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. Each demand is voted separately by the Lok Sabha. During this stage, members of Parliament can discuss and the details of the budget. They can also move motions to reduce any demand or grant. Such motions are called cut motions, which are of three kinds. So during the passage of voting on demand for grants, there is no you can say the opposition member can also discuss the details of the budget. They can also move motions to reduce any demand or grant. Such motions are called cut motions. So cut motions are moved by opposition members, moved by the members against the budget to reduce or to declare any policy, any initiative as blank. So cut motions are also a type of instrument in the hand of Parliament for control. And there are three kinds of cut motions. One is policy cut, where policy is criticized, token cut, and economic cut. So in policy cut, the policy grievances of the members are communicated to reported to the House. The members express their concern, deep concern about the functioning of the government, and or introduction of a new policy or implementation of a new policy. If it is approved by Parliament, it will be reduced to ₹1. In token cut motions, it ventilates a specific grievance that is within the sphere of the responsibility of the government. It states that all the national amount of the demand to be reduced by 100. So that is a specific grievance that is within the sphere of responsibility of the government. It states that the amount of the demand to be reduced by 100. So token cut is a symbolic cut, and the members oppose some of the aspects of a particular policy or scheme, and if it is approved, the budgetary amount will be reduced to 100, reduced by 100. So token cut, and there is also policy cut motions. Okay. So policy cut, economic cut by lump sum. It represents the economy that can be affected to propose. It states that the amount of the demand be reduced by a specific amount, which may be either a lump sum reduction in the demand for omission or reduction of one item in the demand. So that is called your economic cut. Economic cut is by lump sum, some money is reduced and to give effect to effective policy implementations. Excess money granted for a policy should be struck down. So after the passage of the voting on demand for grant, the Parliament passes the appropriation bill. The appropriation bill is Okay. So appropriation bill, at the appropriation bill, after the passage of the finance bill, voting after the completion of votes on demand for grants, appropriation bill is introduced in either house of parliament, and it has to be passed or approved, and after it passed, it is called passed and assented, it is called Appropriation Act. The Appropriation Act authorizes or legalizes the payment from the Consolidated Fund of India. This means that the government cannot withdraw money from the Consolidated Fund of India till the enactment of the appropriation bill. Okay. So during this time, what happens during the pending passage of budget or pending the passage of appropriation bill, the financial year set in or financial year begins. So the government needs money to function for day-to-day functioning. So Parliament grants an advance to the executive or to the government to meet the expenditures, the regular daily expenditures until the budget is passed also. So that is called okay. So that is the things about the appropriation bill. Then finance bill. Finance bill is long-standing bills, and they are deal with the economic side of the things. Okay, so passage of appropriate bills, and then finance bill. Finance bill introduced to give effect to financial proposals of the Government of India for the following year. It is subject to the conditional application to a money bill. Unlike the appropriation bill, the amendment seeking a reduced tax can be moved in the case of finance bills. According to the Provisional Collection of Taxes Act 1931, the finance bill must be enacted in the Parliament within 75 days. So you must have seen the different stages of the budget, and we have discussed also in length about the passage of the budget. So budget is a major document, and the significance of budget in a country like India is much more, as it has adopted welfare state concept. So state has more responsibility and more duties, more obligations to fulfill. Hence, budget counts. Budgets is much coveted document in the world that India quotes for. Okay. Okay. So apart from the budget, which is the largest grant of Parliament, there are also certain other grants like supplementary grant. Okay, so supplementary grants. It is granted by Parliament to supplement or to add to the existing scheme, policy where the money seems to be insufficient. Number 2, additional grant is granted to meet the expenditure on a new service that emerged after implementation of one policy mentioned in the budget. So it is called additional. So it adds expenditure on the new service that is conceived now. Excess grant is granted when money has been spent on a particular service during a financial year in excess of the amount granted for that service in the budget for that year. It is voted by the Lok Sabha. Okay. So excess grant is voted by Lok Sabha after the financial year before demands of excess grants are submitted to the Lok Sabha for voting. They must be approved by Public Account Committee. So here money has already been spent in excess on any service during financial year, but now everything is controlled. Excess grant. Number 4, vote of credit. It is called a blank check on the government because it is granted for meeting an unexpected demand upon resources of India, where no account of magnitude or the indefinite character of the service. The demand cannot be stated. With the details and with the details. So it is granted for meeting an unexpected demand upon the resources when on account of the magnitude and the indefinite character of the central service. The demands cannot be issued with the basis with details ordinary given in budget. Hence, it is like a blank check given to the executive by the Lok Sabha. So, as the amount is not mentioned and it is granted for a project whose prior estimation is not a possibility. Number 5 is exceptional grant, that is provided in exceptional circumstances. And you can see also token grant. Okay, so that is token grant. In symbolic grant, money is reappropriated from one scheme to another. Because of the farmers non-implementation, so the money can be reappropriated to other schemes, other provisions in the budget. Hence, the token grant is passed and the Parliament passes a grant of ₹1 as a token sum. Okay, so these are the other grants of Parliament. We have finished it. Now we shall come to the money will get. Okay. Okay, so this is the things. Now here it is written also the grants of Parliament. Now, multifunctional role of Parliament. Parliament is not only a legislative body but also performs. Parliament not only performs the act of work of legislation, enacting legislation, but also for other purposes. It is not a mere lawmaking or legislative chamber. It has executive, financial, constituent, judicial, and electoral powers So, Parliament has legislative powers, means Parliament has the authority to legislate over the state list and concurrent, on the union list and concurrent list. And the legislative power of the Parliament is more extensive, more elaborate than the so legislative function. In legislative function, the Parliament consists of certain things. Okay, so it makes laws in the bill and it approves the ordinances. It passes the budget also. But that is the reason. Next, executive powers. Okay. So legislative powers and function, it makes law for the country, and it amends the law. It approves the state means approves the change in any of the list. It can transfer the power authority of subject lawmaking from one part to another class. Okay. So future of function of Parliament is to make law for the country's excessive. Okay, so there are various subjects in the concurrent list, union list, where the union legislature has authority, and the Parliament can also legislate on state list in certain circumstances, like during national emergency, during military law, and there are also okay. So legislative powers, but in case of state legislative list, the Parliament has generally the Parliament does not have authority to legislate on the state list, but in exceptional circumstances it can legislate on the state list, like national emergency, president's rule, and that is to give effect to international treaties and conventions. So a lot of grounds are there where if the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution, that is also possible. So Parliament can legislate. Executive control. Executive is controlled by the Parliament. In a parliamentary democracy, the core principle is the responsibility of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister to the House of People. Okay, so that is called executive powers and functions. Okay, so that is called executive powers. The executive is responsible to Parliament, hence Parliament exercises control over the executive through question hour, 0 hour, half an hour discussion, short discussion, calling motions, adjournment motion, no contest motions. Activities of the executive with the help of its committees on government assurance, committee on subordinate legislation, and committee on petitioners. Okay, the ministries are collectively responsible to Parliament and in general and Lok Sabha in particular. As a part of collective responsibility, there is individual responsibility that is there. So the Lok Sabha can also express lack of confidence by passing a motion, by rejecting a bill, by passing a censure motion, by passing a court motion. So court motions are usually not there, but they are effective. So executive functions. Financial pyramid, the budget, it passes the money bills for withdrawal of money from the Consolidated Fund of India. It also approves the Okay, so approves the budget and money bill, and also it ensures so financial control by it also exerts financial control through the help of financial committees like Public Account Committee and Committee on Public Undertakings. All these things are there. So budget is based on the principle of annually, and if the government gives money to the government, that is the parliament grants money to the government for one financial year. If the granted money is not spent by the one of the financial year, after then the balance is paid and returns to Consolidated Fund of India. So Parliament has tremendous or huge financial roles. Then with regards to constituent power, Parliament is the sole authority to amend the Constitution of India. It can initiate the process of amendment through simple majority in the Parliament, and it can also initiate the okay. So these are the budget constituent functions of the budget. The Parliament is vested with the power to amend the Constitution by subject to basic structure of the Constitution. So basic structure of the Constitution, that means they can be amended. Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution either through simple majority and so on. Judicial powers may Parliament investigates or holds the investigation charges of Parliament, and also appoints the investigating committee in case of removal of judges. It prescribes the jurisdiction and provisions with regards to Supreme Court judge. So a lot of judicial functions are there. It can make President violation of the Constitution. It can remove the Vice President of India. It can recommend for the removal of judges, Supreme Court, High Court, Comptroller, Auditor General, and it can punish its members to outsiders. Electoral powers and functions, it elects the Parliament participates in the election of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the President elections. It also elects the Vice President. It also elects the presiding officer of the House, and it makes law for the provisions for the regulation of election, general election in the country. With regards to other powers, there are a lot of things that we can say. That it is the Parliament performs in inter-parliamentary conference on behalf of India. Okay. So other powers, other powers that disputes with regards to So these are the powers of the parliament. You can see that parliament is a multifunctional body, performs a multifarious activities, and it is therefore a supreme organization of the country. Okay. So constituent powers and other powers, it serves as the highest deliberative body in the country. It approves the three types of emergency which can create, abolish the state legislative council. It can increase or decrease the area and the boundary and change in the Indian Union. It can increase. So there are other powers. Other powers रे हमें बहुत सारा जिनिस तो लिखे हो. It's a highest or a pronounced. Other powers, highest deliberative body, number 2, approval of emergencies. Okay. Regulation of So this is all about your multifunctional role of Parliament. We have discussed in briefly about the various types of functions that are performed by Parliament from time to time. So this is the kind of things. Now we shall cover the sovereignty of Indian Parliament is a myth. There is often a question in men's examination also. So the sovereignty, Parliament is sovereign, means Parliament is independent of the control of the executive and the legislature. In order to ensure unbiased and impartial justice to people of India irrespective of any discriminations. But Indian Parliament is not as powerful as British Parliament. Is not as sovereign as British Parliament. And Indian Parliament has certain limitations. It has a lot of differences, lot of things are different from the British Parliament. Sovereignty means supremely independent. The Parliament is independent of its functioning, but its powers, its jurisdictions are defined in the Constitution. It cannot go or exceed the limitations. So there are several factors which reduces the sovereignty or compromises the sovereignty of the Parliament. First of all, written nature of the Constitution. As the Constitution is written, all the powers of all the organs are well defined. So there is no case of overlapping or there is no case of overtaking others' powers. So written nature of Constitution also adds to it. So, written nature of Constitution defines the power and function of the Parliament, hence Parliament cannot exceed the limitations. And it also elaborates the powers and what Parliament can do, what it cannot do, that all are mentioned. So, it hampers sovereignty of Parliament to some extent. Federal system of government where there is division of power and states are clamoring for independence and autonomy. Okay, then system of judicial review. System of judicial review is found mentioned in the Constitution of India. It is a basic structure of the Constitution. And judicial review, the Supreme Court or High Courts are entitled to examine the constitutionality of a parliamentary act. If it is seen that the act is violative of the Constitution, it will be struck down. So Parliament's power of lawmaking is restricted by the power of judicial. Okay, then system of judicial review also, because parliamentary laws are restricted by judicial review. Parliament cannot make any law which is violative of the Constitution or fundamental rights. And another thing, fundamental rights also restrict the power of Parliament, because Parliament legislates on various multifarious subjects with keeping an eye over the fundamental rights, because they are significant as others, or everything. So these are the factors that are responsible for the declining role of parliament, Okay, so sovereignty of parliament is over. Okay, so we have finished all these parts. Now we shall come to the MCQ part of the questions. Okay, now look at the questions. Number 1, which among the following can be said to be a part of the parliament? President, Vice President, Chairman, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So 1, 2, 3 is the answer. B. Article 79 required. Which among the following statement is true? The maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 245. No, that is not true. Present strength of Lok Sabha is 545. Okay. Maximum strength of Lok Sabha is from Uttar Pradesh 80. Okay. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can pass it. No. Okay. So our 2 means 2 and 3 are 2. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both follow the method of proportional representations for elected members. Wrong. Rajya Sabha members are elected by the members of the is right. Maximum strength of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is fixed as 45/52. Yes. The voting age was reduced from 21 to 61st in age. Okay. So 1 is wrong. Only 3 and what is the answer? Achha. So Rajya Sabha members of the state legislative assembly. ठीक है. Maximum strength, voting age. So what will be the answer? D. Yes, that is wrong also. So first is correct. Correct. Okay. Extended by 1 year. These are very simple questions you can do. Either India and no Lakshadweep. Six months and composition of council 80, (104). Past March budget. Okay. This is a wrong question. You have to rectify it. No, there is answer. There is answer. D. D. Class. Disqualification and peace. C. C. 312. Vote on account. SB Krishnamurti Rao, Suresh Prabhu. So all these are tick marked. Bihar, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, you can check it. B. Mr. Rabi Rai became the 10th Lok Sabha. C. Alright. Debroy Committee got motions, no confidence motions. C, D, A. Estimate Committee. B, D, vote on account. Okay, so complete next class we shall be starting with judiciary. Okay, thank you very much to all of you. We shall start judiciary in the next class afresh.